I think backpacking is a really symbolic thing, and a lot of the lessons that are learned out here can be applied to regular life. I hiked the Pacific Northwest Trail in 2015, and that was my introduction to thru hiking. After I hiked the PNT, I was pretty much hooked on backpacking. So with a real spontaneous decision, I decided to just hike across the UP on the North Country Trail. I would break the 550 miles of trail up into 9 sections. That way I could experience the UP in all of its seasons. I started at the Kaubagam trailhead. I think some of the highlights are going to be the waterfalls. Going to be going through Lapping Whitefish Falls and Rock River Falls and a few other unnamed spots. I just found the first blueberries of the season. Just ripe ones at least. Yeah, those are good. This has got to be one of the best trail shelters I've ever seen. Built just for the NCT. This guy named Tom Lakeinen built an entire sculpture park here. And the NCT runs right behind it. Looks like I've just arrived. It's a little bit of a side trail to get here. Well, it looks like this is camp for tonight. Just trying to make it to a waterfall. That's still probably a mile and a half away. And it was hot today, so I'm pretty sapped of energy. Still have to do. It's gonna be real hard to get out of the tent this morning. Yesterday was really hot, super humid, and I think I got a little bit of heat exhaustion towards the end of the day. Just absolutely no energy, headache. I didn't even eat dinner last night. I mean, I was hungry, but my stomach just couldn't handle food. But last night the clouds moved in, the wind started picking up. Looks like it's probably gonna rain at some point today. I guess I don't get mail out here very often. It's about to start raining really hard. There's a lot of difficult times when you're backpacking, but I always think that it's moments like these that make it all worth it. The thunderstorm passed over, it's not so hot anymore, the bugs are gone, and this is just awesome. Pretty sure those are claw marks. Well, I gave myself a black eye last night. I was trying to hang my food up in a tree. I don't know how well you can see it. I was trying to hang my food in a tree, and the rope got caught on a branch. So I was trying to pull the rope off of the branch and hopefully have it like slide off of the branch, but instead the whole branch came with it. Came straight into my face. This one I've been looking forward to for a while. This is Pictured Rocks. It's going to be huge cliffs, sandstone cliffs over Lake Superior, like 200 feet tall. This is already like the third waterfall I've passed. I've only been hiking for like half a mile. So this one's going to be great. Well, this is quite a change of pace from the last day. Yesterday I was up on the Pictured Rocks cliffs, 200 feet above the lake. Really crowded, lots of people. It was windy. Now here at Beaver Lake it is just dead calm. This is what I'm really looking for in these hikes. One thing that I find so appealing about thru hiking is that you don't have to have any schedules. You take a break when you feel like it, you don't have to have lunch at a certain time, you set up camp when you want, and your schedule is based more on what's going on in the day, your environment, what's going on around you, instead of time. So as far as you can see down there, that's where I came from since this morning. And I'm heading this way to the Two-Hearted River up there somewhere. Probably another 3 miles or something like that. A lot of these trees you're seeing over here have blue blazes painted on them. It's because the trail used to go right along the edge of this bluff here. But the bluff's eroding so much that the trail's kind of collapsed into the beach. Now I'm forced to scramble on all this driftwood on the sand. It's kind of nice to walk on. I don't know if this tent's gonna hold up. I am not really in a good place right now. As you can tell, it's raining. Last night there's a thunderstorm that came in. It was super cool for a while. I was watching the heat lightning over the lake. There wasn't even any rain. Just rolling thunder all night. But then, about the same time that the sun started rising, that's when the rain came. And it came really hard. It was super windy, and I was worried that my tent was even going to come unstaked. I've been looking for a place to escape the rain all day. I think I just found one. Nice decorating in here. Probably doesn't look like much, but I got a dry place to sit, just to hang up some clothes, a cup of coffee, and just made some oatmeal. This is all I really need right now. Just anywhere out of the rain. Well, it's been a super long day. Probably did 25 miles today. But I'm here to Quamanon Falls. A day earlier than I expected too. Now I just gotta see if that brewery and restaurant are still open. Alright, this is the beginning of section 4, and this is going to be a special section because I'm going to be joined by Vidi Shrimp. This guy's practically famous. He hiked with me on the PNT last summer. So I think this is going to be a special section.
My only prerequisite was that there will be no night hiking. So,
So we broke that rule first night.
2 miles in, we were night hiking along treacherous, muddy trailways parallel to a raging waterfall.
For my first through hike, I did the Pacific Northwest Trail. It's about 1,200 miles long, and it starts in Glacier, Montana, and goes all the way to the Pacific Coast in Washington. On the PNT, there were about 4 other people that I hiked with on and off, but Fitty Shrimp was the guy that I hiked with the most, probably. So it's kind of a cool thing to have him join me for another backpacking trip. We saw there's a creek on the map, so we thought might as well go there and stop for lunch there. The creek kind of sucks, but there's a brand new bridge spanning the creek. As we're setting up lunch, a trail crew comes by, and they're making a new bridge for the North Country Trail.
Beaver issues is our biggest problem here. The trail used to come right down through here somewhere.
Oh yeah, I can see the old one.
Yeah.
You get down that way, you'll see 150 feet of new boardwalk.
So did you guys just finish that then?
Yeah, we just got done nailing. Darren came up here.
Okay.
But it was kind of fun because one of the guys, Bill, which you haven't met yet, he's further down the trail. He was in the water for most of, 2 or 3 days.
Oh, wow.
And then,
One more tee coming to put on the end
Yeah.
of it. Must be that one.
and then we had a tub like we were hauling materials in with, and then we got Mark out in that as a boat. We put him in it. Bill wouldn't get in it.
Did anybody tell you about the Tracker Trail project?
21 structures.
In 2 years, we built 21 structures,
Wow.
more elaborate than this.
Yeah, 21 structures and along the river, that one.
We should like do a countdown. 21 structures.
They needed to sand these edges down a little bit better. This doesn't match up. Should I point out all the flaws?
Yeah, somebody could get a splinter.
I could get a splinter right there. Other than that though, I'd give it high marks.
That we ended up, I think I counted either 5 grants or 6 that we had.
Jump, jump. Everybody
Yeah,
down.
this is solid.
And this thing was 10,000 and we got about 5 each year.
Nice.
They're getting longer as we go. Nothing like a fresh boardwalk. In reverse.
I'm sure they counted this as 2 separate. They both go over the water. Shore to shore chapter.
That's who we just met. Oh, it smells.
You know, I think I'm just gonna set up camp on that road back there.
We've got to be close.
Yeah, I hear you, but wait it out.
How wet are your feet?
They're not bad so far.
Oh. Well, mine are past the point of no return.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go back and camp back here and then go barefoot down here and see what there is.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'm gonna lose a shoe in this. Well, there's the lake. This better have been worth it. It sucks. There's nowhere to camp.
Do you drink your dishwater?
No.
I always slosh it around and get the last nuggets of yum-yums up the bottom. Throw them back.
Not at all.
You evolved to that point. I think it's when you take 10 minutes to filter a liter of water, it just doesn't make sense to throw it out with nuggets of food, you know? My feet and body have already been tricked into thinking we're doing a multi-month thingy again. So it's kind of a waste not to just,
Yeah, you just gotta keep going from now on.
we'll see.
Fitty's gonna be stuck on the NCT. last day on this section. We just left our awesome campsite and we got about 13 miles to go to the car. How you feeling about this section?
Oh, I feel good. I feel good. We had a delightful night of stargazing.
And some strange flashes in the sky.
Aliens, most likely.
And lights at the end of the road. We don't really know what they were.
Some type of federal government cover-up.
Yeah. Well, they probably wiped our memories. So maybe we saw something.
Yes. A big shout out to everybody who works on building trails and maintaining trails. We learned a lot about all the work that goes into that and the logistical things. It's pretty amazing, and without all that we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So if you're a hiker, be sure to take time if you see somebody along the trail digging up a route or building a boardwalk or painting blazes so we don't get lost as much. Just take a
Not
minute
as much.
and thank them for what they do.
Yeah. So I woke up this morning to a salamander crawling on my head. I don't know where he came from. It's been a pretty gloomy and kind of uninteresting day so far. But one thing that has been interesting is getting to see the shift into autumn. It's interesting because some parts of the forest are still totally green and don't show any signs of changing. And then you get to a part like this where there's a lot of yellow already. Each little area of the forest is kind of its own ecosystem. And there are a bunch of different factors that'll trigger when the leaves will change colors. Some of those factors change in different parts faster than others. That would be a perfect spot, but it's real windy. Still considering it though. Well, I'm glad I kept looking. Maybe just 100 yards from that last site where it was super open and windy, I found this one. Still just as good of a view, and there is no wind here. This might be one of the best spots so far. Super pumped to find this. Well, I've spent a lot of nights in some pretty terrible camp spots. It really makes me appreciate when I find a good one. And this spot is a pretty good example. You got a good flat area to set up your tent. Actually lots of good flat area over here too. a pre-made fire ring. That's just a bonus right there. Got a really good view and some pretty good shelter from the wind. So I'm pretty satisfied with this spot. Well, here's my first view of Lake Michigan and the bridge. Well, I wasn't even planning on getting here tonight, but I got a little bit too close to town. It didn't make sense to camp there. So I pushed it another 3-4 miles on the road, and my feet are killing me, but I'm here, Mackinac Bridge. So I'm out of fuel for my stove. And I was gonna stop at the store and get some more fuel on the way out here, but the store's out of fuel. And apparently nobody else in town has fuel. So for this section, if I want to cook, I'm gonna have to make a fire. And of course it's been raining and everything's soaking wet. So that makes making a fire a little bit more difficult. Usually birch bark is my go-to thing for starting a fire. But, I mean, this stuff is soaked, so even birch bark won't catch a flame very well. This stuff will work pretty good once I have the cedar bark burning. You gotta scratch off the outer layer of bark where it's kind of soft and wet, and underneath that, it's pretty dry. You get this nice fluffy stuff. Need a lot of it though. I already had a fire here last night, and it took a while. Well, it took a lot longer than just turning on a stove, but I think this oatmeal tastes a little bit better. Since I'm sick, I just can't seem to get enough sleep. I probably got 11 hours last night, and it still didn't feel like enough. A pretty rough morning this morning. Wasn't feeling very good. Super sore, because I pushed it a little bit too far last night. We practically ran up to Summit Peak to catch the sunset. And then after that, there's another 2.5 miles to Mirror Lake in the dark. So my feet have been wet for a good 24 hours now, even though it hasn't been raining. The trails are just flooded. They're still wet this morning, and that's the best part. I was wondering how long it would take to capture a fall on camera. I've been doing this long enough that I know by the time that this trip is over, I won't be thinking about how uncomfortable or how cold or how much pain I was in. The parts that you remember from these trips are the good parts. Well, I have to get across this river, and there's no bridge, and I'd like to keep my feet from getting any wetter than they already are. So I'm just gonna go for this tree. Yeah, this is what I'm looking for. And this might be my new favorite camp spot on the NCT. Coming down to the Presque Isle River, and this also marks the end of the Porcupine Mountains State Park. This is a whole new class of river. I haven't seen anything like this so far in the Porkies. And it actually drains over 300 square miles of forest. That's not a good sign. This trail advisory is saying that the trail has been washed out so bad that they're planning on relocating it. So this is what they mean by washouts. I'm going to start counting these. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot. Washout number 2. Back to wet feet. Washout number 3. Number 4. 5. I think you get the point. I'm going to stop counting now. The trail has been in rough shape, very muddy, In some places, there's more puddle than there is trail. So half the time, I'm not even on the trail. I'm walking next to it. Tons of blowdowns. On top of that, I've been sick too. But even with all those challenges, this has been one of my favorite sections of the whole UP. This is just the perfect time of year to hike through the Porkies. It's really a true wilderness. So it's been a humbling hike, but it's been pretty amazing too. I really hope you just saw that. Freaking bald eagle just flew by right in front of me. Oh my god. You don't come to many of these outlooks in the UP where it just opens up and you can see for miles. From here, I can actually see the entire section from the Porkies. So just over there is Berglund Tower, and then over here on the horizon, you can just barely see the Copper Peak ski jump. So from there to there is about 55 miles of hiking. Never been able to see an entire section in one view before, so this is pretty cool. Found a snake. A lot of times I find them sunning themselves right in the middle of the trail. And they're camouflaged so well I don't even see them until I almost step on them and they slither out of the way. So I'm sure everybody has their own style when they're backpacking. But for me, I kind of like to plan as little as possible, and I just kind of make up my plans as I go throughout the day, just depending on weather and terrain, where the water sources are, and where it might look like a good place to camp and all that. It feels more like an adventure when you're out here. Well, I stopped a little bit earlier than I was hoping to today, but I had two options. I could either camp up here, or go another like 3 miles or so and then camp down in the woods. All that means is I have to do a few more miles tomorrow, which isn't really a big deal. I'd much rather camp up here. Even though I only went about 13 miles or so today, there was a lot of ups and downs. This whole section so far has just been a series of escarpments, and I've been going up and down those the whole time. So even though it's a lot of work, it was definitely worth it. The sun just set, the moon's out. I'm sure the stars are going to be really good tonight. It's perfectly clear. Well, it was nice and calm when I went to bed, but the wind was howling when I got up. Made it real hard to get up because it's pretty cold. Looks like I'm starting to enter the remnants of Old Victoria, the old mining town I was talking about yesterday. I didn't realize there was so much of a historical element on the NCT. This isn't just about hiking through nature. Oh, now this is a luxury here. An outhouse. It even has the moon carved in the door. This thing's legit. I'm coming up on Okundakun Falls here. It has been a long afternoon. Trails have been nice and muddy, but this waterfall should be a nice way to break up the afternoon. I just can't stay too long because I still have another 7 miles or so that I want to get in today. These shorter days are really making it hard to get the miles I'm used to getting. Normally I'd be able to hike until 9 or 10 at least. I mean, in the middle of the summer here, it doesn't get dark till after 11. But now it's getting dark at 6. That cuts a lot of hours off the day. And those are the hours that I used to count on to get my miles in. Last night I had to hike another 4 miles in the dark just to get me within range of my finishing point, which is at Bob Lake today. My friend John's gonna be picking me up in the early afternoon, so I had to make sure that I could get there in time. Which blaze do I follow? There's too many. That's the real one. I just stepped off the NCT onto a side trail going to Bob Lake. It's just another 1.7 miles, and then that'll be it for this section. And after this, I think I only have 2 more sections left. I'll be finishing the NCT in the Upper Peninsula in Marquette. I'll be able to walk to my front door, and that's how I'll finish. I'm going to finish the UP this year no matter what the weather is, but I have a feeling these last couple sections are going to be pretty difficult. I've done plenty of one-night camping trips in the winter, but I've never gone winter backpacking over multiple nights and covering a lot of miles. So you'll get to watch as I learn how to do this in the winter. The forest is an entirely different place in the winter. Everything's asleep, and it is just dead silent out here. There's no wind, it's a clear sky, and there's just absolutely no background noise. It's like being in a sound booth. It's December 11th, and we just got our first decent snowstorm of the year. It only dropped about 5 inches on the ground, so I'm not using snowshoes yet, but one more storm like this and then it's snowshoe weather. Even though there's not a ton of snow yet, it's really cold. It got down to 0 degrees last night, and my sleeping bag is rated to 0 degrees, so I was pushing the limits. Since this is my first real backpacking trip in the winter, I think I'm going to spend a lot of time comparing this to summer backpacking. So far, the only thing that's better about winter camping is the food that I can bring. I've got some raw meat in my backpack. I don't have to worry about it going bad. Obviously, staying warm is the biggest priority. During the day, that's not really a problem. And what's actually a problem is getting too hot during the day. Because if you get too hot, then you start sweating. At the end of the day, once I'm done hiking, if my clothes are wet, they're just gonna suck all of the heat out of me, and it's gonna make for a pretty miserable night. I'm doing my best to try and capture as much of the experience as I can out here. But there's a few things about this experience that I've accepted just can't be captured. They have to be experienced firsthand, and the dead silence of a forest in the middle of winter is one of those things. It's about 5 o'clock on day 2, and the sun is just setting now. I'm pretty exhausted. I'm hoping that the longer I spend out here, though, the more my body will become adjusted to hiking in this temperature, these kind of conditions. So if I can get a good night's sleep tonight, I think I'll probably feel a lot better tomorrow. This is officially the longest consecutive time that I've spent outside in the winter. And I actually slept a lot better last night than I did the first night. Yesterday was pretty exhausting, and I wasn't feeling great at the end of the day, but all I needed was a good night's sleep. Here it is, finally. Oren Crumb Shelter. Oh, this is so nice. Wow. It has been a long day, and this is exactly what I need. But if I've ever needed a shelter, it was definitely this one. That's a complete game changer. Just to have a space to spread everything out, let it dry a little bit. I don't have to worry about setting stuff down in the snow. Plus, of course, it'll be a lot warmer. I'm sheltered from any wind. I don't have to worry about frost building up inside my tent. And as a bonus, it came with a super nice campfire area. So I'm just about to grill up some chicken and some brats that I brought out. There's even a grate hanging up on the tree behind me, so I'm gonna cook my chicken over that. Well, I thought I was going to be nice and warm in the shelter, but I didn't sleep very well. I actually slept a lot better last night in my tent. But I just found out that it's 1 degree right now. And it was just warmer last night. It's so cold my stove doesn't even work. I have to warm it up just to get the gas to come out. On the plus side, it's my birthday today. I think I have about 15 miles left of this section. It'd be kind of nice to make it back and celebrate my birthday. I'm just trying to build up the courage here to put my snow pants and boots on. Alright. Oh, these are solid. I don't think I can even get that on. Got one. I'm gonna try and do some other stuff while my boot thaws out. Got my second boot on. So that's no good. Took an hour of hiking just to warm up enough to do this entry. My toes are just getting back to normal now. They were totally frozen, and then once they started warming back up, they just ached for about half an hour. But at least I can feel them again. My watch says it's 7 degrees, but with the wind chill, I wouldn't be surprised if it's getting down to -20. The first couple days were definitely manageable. Yesterday was actually really nice, but the cold today is something totally different. I have to keep moving. That's the only way to stay even reasonably warm. And it's going to end up being about a 15-mile day. And that's a lot of miles to do in the snow. I'm in the last hour of daylight on day 4. Today has been pretty brutal. It's hard to talk, my face is so numb. I haven't really been warm at all today. The only time it's bearable is when I'm walking. If I take a break, I'm cold again within 10 minutes. Got the Sturgeon River off to my right, which will soon fall into Canyon Falls. It'll probably be too dark to film anything by the time I get there. But I did get some drone shots before I started this section when I dropped off my car. So those will have to do. This whole section was kind of an experiment. This is a pretty brutal weather window to try my first winter backpacking trip in. There was definitely a lot of suffering, but that was just because I wasn't really prepared for these kinds of temperatures. Next time I will be. I'm breaking trail right now, and I'm just assuming that that's how it's going to be for most of this section. And that is a lot of work. Got about 65 miles from here to Marquette, which is a good 25 miles longer than I did for my last winter section, and that one was hard enough. But since this is the last section, I thought I'd do kind of a grand finale kind of thing. Already I can tell this is going to be a pretty different hike compared to my last winter section, but the big difference is how much snow there is now. It's just going to be a lot more work and a lot more miles. That's the one thing that you really have to try to avoid when you're out here hiking in the winter. Just getting anything wet is kind of a big deal. And I just soaked my whole left foot. I guess that means I'm gonna have to spend some time trying to dry that out tonight over the fire. That is just a big morale killer. Backpacking isn't just physically demanding. It can also be a pretty tough mental test too. Normally I wouldn't make a mistake like that, but in a situation that's so physically stressful, it's hard to think straight too. Back there I knew that the ice wasn't really that thick, but I needed to get some liquid water. So I pushed it just a little bit too far, trying to reach that open spot. And I paid the price. And out here the consequences are immediate, and they are very real. Well, so far, all I can really say about this section is that it has been absolutely grueling. I knew it was going to be hard, but I think I still underestimated how hard it would be. It's times like these that I find myself questioning what I'm even doing out here. My body hurts, and to be honest, I'm really not having a whole lot of fun right now. But then I think back to the past hikes that I've done that have been really hard, and the only memories that come back are good memories. It's a weird thing, because it's so hard and painful while you're doing it. But once it's over, there's a lot of good things that stick with you. And I'm sure after this is over, in a week or two, I'll actually find myself daydreaming about being back out here. Because this is just a totally unique experience. And you can't have this kind of experience without suffering a little bit. One thing I've realized with this section is that I have definitely found my limit. This is definitely the hardest hiking I've ever done. It's only the end of day 2 and I am wrecked. So exhausted right now that this pasty doesn't even taste very good. At this point I'm just hoping I can keep it down. All I really want to do is just get in my sleeping bag. Hope I feel better tomorrow. I just entered the McCormick Wilderness Tract, and I've hiked here before, and none of the NCT is blazed here. So this should be kind of interesting. I thought I was moving at a slow pace before, but now that I'm having a hard time even staying on the trail, I'm moving at an even slower pace. I'm constantly stopping to check my phone, and a lot of the times I'm finding out that I'm not on the trail. When you're having a hard day, sometimes the littlest things can bring a lot of joy. Those little tape markers have been very inconsistent, but every once in a while one will show up, and it feels really good just to know that I am going the right way and to actually see where the trail goes for the next 50 feet or something. This whole day has been a lot of taking 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards. just looking for the trail. I think it goes this way. Look at that. It's a blue blaze. That means I'm out of the McCormick Wilderness. Navigation should be a little bit easier from here on out. I'm feeling a lot better tonight than I was last night. I think I just paced myself a little bit smarter today. But with that being said, I still didn't cover nearly as much distance as I should have. I'm getting the feeling that I'm going to have to cut this section short, and I'll probably have John pick me up at some point. But that's going to be a real tough decision because I've never had to cut a hike short before. So I guess that just shows how hard this is and how much I underestimated how hard it would be. When something is this tough, it's real easy to get pessimistic and you start to get tunnel vision just on getting to the finish line, and that's all you end up thinking about, and it makes the rest of the hike pretty miserable because the finish line always seems way too far away and it feels like you're never going to get there. So I found that it's really important just to appreciate things as much as you can. It's amazing how much better of a mood I am in today simply because I'm following a blazed trail again. It's 25 degrees today, so that's a good 10 degrees warmer than it has been throughout most of the section. So since it's so nice out and it's not snowing, I thought I'd actually take a sit-down break for lunch. Actually cook something. Every day before this I've only been snacking during the day. I've never had really time or a good place to actually cook. So this is a treat to actually have some oatmeal here. And I can see the lake. Now I've got a long and straight walk across the Silver Lake Basin. Silver Lake is a pretty big lake. I probably still have almost a mile to go before I'm off the lake. But then I'll meet back up with the NCT. Probably go a little bit farther and look for a place to camp tonight. That'll be it. It's day 5. And it's snowing a lot out there. So I'm going to try and do as much as I can inside the tent. Then I'll just pack up and get walking as quick as possible. It's funny how some things have kind of flipped around from usual on this hike. Because on this hike, I'm actually really enjoying the road walking. It's so much easier that my mind has been freed up and I can actually look around a little bit and try and appreciate what I'm walking through. But for today, I have about a 12-mile road walk ahead of me. So it's probably going to be a pretty uneventful day. Do you guys know what a trail angel is? No. Well, you guys are trail angels now. Just anybody who kind of goes out of their way to help somebody, help a hiker or anything. So, it's greatly appreciated.
Yeah, no problem, man.
You can always count on a Youper to help you out when you need it. Those two guys just saved me basically a whole day of walking. But they did drop me off a little bit farther down the road than the NCT goes. So this will actually be another shortcut for me. I'm starting at the Noquamanon Trailhead, which is a cross-country ski trail that actually goes all the way into Marquette. So at this point, it looks like I might be able to hike all the way back home. I had kind of given up on that idea for the past couple days, but this random act of trail magic may have just saved the hike for me. Now I actually have mile counters, or well, in this case, kilometer counters. I just passed the 10-kilometer sign on the Nquamanon Trail. I think that comes out to like 4 or 5 miles left. My legs are killing me, but 4 miles is really not that far, and that doesn't seem worth it to set up camp. So I'm gonna push it because that's a lot better than the alternative, which is spending another night out here. I think overall, the two biggest things that I've taken away from this is not to underestimate things, but also just how much I can accomplish when I don't really have a choice.